All right. Well, good morning from Austin, Texas. Thank you again, Slava. This is it's a real treat to be a part of MageCONF again. It's been a while, and it's just fantastic to look through the people list here and see lots of familiar names. It's an incredible time to be part of this whole thing. So, 2020 has been a little bit of a shit show. I think it's been a very interesting time for everybody, and I thought we'd maybe kind of dive in and just start talking. This is a crazy place, and we've lived through something that's you hear the word unprecedented. You hear us talk about this time in superlatives because it truly is, right? I mean, this is an event that is global in nature, unlike a lot of things that we experience regionally. This is something that's got the entire world on its heels, and we're all responding to different levels of efficacy. And frankly, it's something that's going to be with us for a little while. I think we've changed the way that we do business. We've started to look at how we interact with one another. Certainly, our conferences are taking on a different look and feel. But as we go forward, we're seeing that the operations have to change, right? The model has to change, because when you have a shutdown, when suddenly all commerce is digital commerce and your customers only exist online, then everyone has to make a radical adjustment in order to go meet those customers in this new digital only universe. I mean, it's a really incredible compression of activity. And I think, as we think about how hard it is for companies to be agile, this is a huge shift, and it's a real test for our merchants and our customers for how quickly they can go meet those customers in this new world and how satisfactorily they can create those experiences. So as we think through how all of this has happened, it's happened in a backdrop of social justice. And this is perhaps a little bit more US centric, but I do think that we've seen kind of global recognition of the challenges that systemic racism and social injustice can have on all of us. So, when you think about 2020, it's been quite the year, and I think it's given us all quite a bit to think about. And I hope that we've all kind of reflected on, what it means to have privilege and how we can lift up those that are disadvantaged. It's a critical time for all of us to take stock not only of how we're doing, with our software and with our merchants, but also how we're doing with ourselves and our ethos. And what this means is that our go forward, it looks nothing like our past, right? I mean, we're talking now about existing in a world where brick and mortar may exist as a showroom, but we're seeing durable changes in the way that consumers are approaching the shopping experience. And so it takes a new world to think through how we're going to go meet these customers. And I think it's a very impressive. It's just been very impressive to watch this market react to these new circumstances. We've seen that there are over twice as many people working from home now as working on premise at a business office, and this is a global number. So we're seeing a dramatic shift of developer capacity moving out of the office space, and it requires us to rethink again how we collaborate, how we think about these different categories of growth. Right? We look across the industries and we see fashion and electronics and all these kind of traditional e-commerce things, but grocery, you don't even think about grocery, and it's grown over 4 times just since this pandemic has started. So we're seeing incredible spikes within industry specific things that are very specific to how the overall market is reacting to the COVID pandemic. And so, this is an area where I think we look for these opportunities, and you should be looking for these opportunities as well, because this is where your customers need the most help. BOPIS usage, right? The buy online, pick up in store, click and collect, as the Europeans so eloquently call it, is up over 260%. I mean, we're talking about crazy numbers. And you can see from the chart here, the inflection point just goes nuts as soon as we actually start to see economies shutting down across the globe. So this concept of omnichannel is an optional thing. It's something that might be nice to have for merchants. Well, that's kind of thrown out the door, right? We're talking now about these omnichannel capabilities are as core as ever, and sometimes they're the only way to get things done. So here's a great stat, and I love this because this brings a degree of freshness to our consumer base, right? So 75% of people that are using digital channels for the first time now plan to come back. And think about how many people are using digital channels for the first time. I mean, this is a place now where if you want anything done, you have to do it online. And I'll use myself as an example. I am a grocery snob. And when I go to the grocery store, I like to, check out all my fruits and vegetables. I must think that I'm very, very good at it. Because I spend quite a bit of time looking through, exactly which onion is going to be the right onion. And when the pandemic hit, that was no longer an option. And so we actually started using a grocery delivery service that would pick out the fresh, vegetables and meats and all that for us and deliver it. And I'll never go back. I'll never go back to a grocery store. It saved me more time. It's been the most delightful experience. And I think that that's happening sort of across the board, right? As people are first-time users in digital channels, they're exposed to this new convenience, and it changes the way that they think about the merchant, and that relationship becomes even more important. So I think it's just absolutely fantastic because we're actually seeing a new class of consumer enter the market, and it means that we'll have to create experiences that are accessible, experiences that speak to a first-time user. This goes all the way back to making our user experience super simplistic. And to do all of that, right, we've got to start breaking down the silos that have kept us sort of separated. And we have to do that in a now virtual environment. So we've got to forge new ways to collaborate, new ways to think through. When every interaction now is a digital interaction, right? Every conference is a virtual conference, and we're learning how to go do these things. Things like the networking tab where you can actually, connect with somebody one-on-one. It's a fantastic digital solution to, what we used to solve with, breakout rooms and, networking sessions. And, while I'll certainly miss the after party, I think that this is a new world that we're going to have to sort of get used to. And we've got to make it our own. And that's an area that I think we can do very well at. The important thing is that the barriers to entry are lower than ever for these digital experiences. And that's because of the digital creatives like yourselves that make the experience of opening an online store something that's actually easy to do and can actually be an extension of their brand. And it's really, it's very rare. It's very rare to get to a place where you're able to do that. And this compression that's happened, right? The pressure on all of these merchants. I mean, think about restaurants that may have not had a digital presence at all prior to the pandemic, or if they did, perhaps it was a static website or something with their directions and a phone number on it, maybe a menu, and now all of their transactions have to happen online. So this compression is creating opportunity, and that's the area where I hope that you guys are all feeling as much excitement as I am, because I think the world is finally waking up to the e-commerce future. And this future has a real impact on developers. I think it's really important to note that this has been a crazy time, not just for merchants and not just for retailers and for consumers, but for the developers that create these experiences, right? 43% are reporting that they've accelerated their deployment velocity. Almost half are working more from home than they did before the quarantine. And it's this crazy number at the end, right? 50% of software engineers are working in industries outside of technology to help bridge the divide between offline and online. So we've just seen this incredible change on how developers make things happen. And we've learned a great lesson from Magento in this concept of developer velocity, right? If you're able to empower a developer community, reduce friction in the way that they operate with your software, and truly collaborate with your ecosystem as a full participant, right? I mean, I think that's the real change, is that you end up with a developer velocity as the single performance measure, right? The opportunity to say, how fast can we go, and do so strategically. And so I think that's an area that we have a little bit of an advantage. And I'll tell you guys all a secret here, and it may be the worst kept secret in the world. But here at Adobe, we cheat. We cheat with the help of this incredible ecosystem, the power of community. And I think Slava did a great job kind of kicking it off, talking about how important it is that the community is you guys are Magento. And it is an incredible thing to be part of. And for me, it is just an honor to be able to be part of that community and help drive things forward. And so we really do over-index on just how powerful this is. I mean, a contribution day, 24 hours, 53 pull requests. I can't imagine how much better you made the software in just that 24 hours. And we're doing that at scale across the board. Here are the numbers. I mean, it's just absolutely incredible. If we were in person, I would absolutely make everyone get up and do a round of applause for this, because I couldn't be more proud. And of all the numbers, right? I mean, I think 75% of pull requests are being managed by the community outside of the Adobe's walls. That's awesome. But the one I'm most proud of is 43% new community contributors. We are bringing fresh perspective to our software. And it's more important than ever that we do that now, especially as the world changes so fast. So congratulations to all of you. I think it's really important to recognize that this is the magic, and this is what has made Magento the very best in class for the longest. So thank you for allowing us to be part of this with you, and let's see what we can keep doing here. I want to talk a little bit about the Magento Masters program. We're making some changes there, but we have had just an incredible run with the Magento Masters program. I mean, these are folks that have dedicated their time and energy to taking their expertise and blasting that out across the entire ecosystem, really scaling out what we're able to do. The changes are good ones, right? We're going to get a new name. Adobe, they're going to be the Magento Commerce Champions, and that's going to be a similar charter, but we're bringing it into the Adobe Bold. And this is an area where I want to encourage everybody, because every time I'm like, hey, we're doing something that's going to be a little bit more Adobe-like, everyone's very, very nervous, right? They're like, oh no, here comes the corporateness. This is going to be great. And I mean that. And I wouldn't tell you it if I didn't believe it. But Adobe's making investments here. And I think it's going to have a tremendous impact on the master's program. So thanks to all of our masters, and look forward to seeing that program evolve. Okay. So I want to talk a little bit about our expanding opportunity. Back at Imagine last year, we talked about how Adobe brought these new digital experience products to the mix, that they were effectively new tools that you could use to stitch together incredible experiences for your customers. And we talked about how important it is that we think about Adobe's developer experience tools collectively, and what we can do with Adobe Experience Manager, and how we can bring Target into the fold, and what it means to use Marketo for engaging B2B opportunities. And all of this together, I think, has really led us to reevaluate, what it means to be a developer ecosystem. And so, I'll tell you a little bit of a story. So earlier this year, I had my year-end review, and I've been at Adobe a couple of years now. So it's been a couple of times I've gone through this. And it was with Shantanu Narayan and my new boss, Anil Chakravarthi, who had just started. And they sat me down and they were like, look, Magento, you guys are doing the right things. We like what we see in terms of where you're heading to market. We're making some inroads on the enterprise. Got some critical feedback on how things are operating. But then they said, what we really want to do, and what we need to see from 21 and beyond, is you need to take this Magento ecosystem and scale it across this entire Experience Cloud. And Shantanu kind of says it like, that's just a thing you need to do. So make sure you check that box and go scale that ecosystem. And Anil's like, hey, we got your back on this, but you need to go do it. And so it's a pretty, and Shantanu was pretty honest about it, right? He said, Salesforce is frankly kicking our ass in this spot. So they've got, their Trailhead, and they've got all these, tools available to developers, and they have a common message, and, Adobe just doesn't even show up in that. So it's a big challenge. And it's not one that we take lightly. So I started thinking about it. There's not a good way that, the Magento ecosystem is something that has been cultivated over 10 years of trusting each other and building together and collaborating together. And it's not something you can just sort of replicate out. So I think it was really important that we start thinking about, how do we take the idea of the Magento ecosystem and start seeding that across digital experience. And so what I did was I created a brand new organization that sits outside of Magento, outside of all the products in digital experience. And I call it Developer Experience, and it sits over the Experience Cloud, and is the developer touch point for all of the things that we're doing in in regards to our developers, right? So this has been a journey for Adobe for some time now. We started in 2014 with the birth of Adobe I/O. And now we've kind of got this new mandate to take Adobe I/O to really bring a new set of tools. And so I brought some of the best with me, right? Jonathan Roeder, who used to head up our research group, now heads the developer experience team. It's got a lot of team members that you guys probably know. A guy named Anton Krill comes to mind. He's going to be helping us really think through how do we create a much better developer experience. And it includes Magento. So we're launching new developer tools. We've got Project Firefly, new web and mobile SDKs, and React Spectrum. And I'll talk a little bit about each of these very quickly. There's a ton more information of these online. But what I really want to convey here is that we're talking about developers now, not as Magento developers and Adobe Experience Manager developers and Marketo developers, but as Experience Cloud developers. And how do we start thinking about bringing things to life in a way that is common, right? If you work with one of our tools, you should already be bootstrapped to work with another of our tools. And so this is our cloud extensibility model. We call it Project Firefly. We'll eventually have a much nicer name. I'm sure brand is all over this. But the idea is that we're kind of like scrappy, and we've got these great little projects that are actually taking hold all across the Experience Cloud. So Project Firefly, React Spectrum is our open source UI. And you think about whenever you're starting up an application, I mean, one of the last things you want to think about is accessibility and keyboard navigation. All of that's built into React Spectrum. So you end up with, a toolkit that's not only highly performant, best in class, works across all devices, but has all these great accessibility components built in as well. We talk about data collection. We have this incredible experience platform that we've had to solve for I don't know how many different kind of data streaming challenges we have. So we have brand new web SDKs that will help really kind of standardize and take all the boilerplate out of data streaming in order for you to get multiple data sources to work together. And these are the kinds of tools that we think really help. And so here, let me give you some places to go look. The web SDK, the Adobe Client Data Layer, our Launch Tag Manager. These are all great resources and places that you should go look for, how we're starting this outreach. And then here's how to get in touch with that group, right? Adobe Devs, Magento EngCom, hopefully you're already plugged into. I know you guys are on our GitHub for Magento, but do check out Adobe's. And then of course Medium for everything else. So that's really, at the end of the day, we've gotten to a great place where we're really, kind of talking through how we think about a true Adobe developer. And Magento is setting the standard for that. So it's very, very cool to watch something that, has grown organically into, what an organization like Adobe looks at as a best-in-class ecosystem. So again, thank you. Thanks for letting me be a part of MageCONF 2020. It is an absolute thrill. You have a terrific agenda ahead of you. All of the speakers have great stuff. I can't wait to catch some of the sessions. Slava, thank you so much, and I'll pass it back to you now.